Hello, friends, and welcome back to Malicious Compliance Stories. Our OP's boss turned out to be the queen of all Karens who tried to make his life at work miserable. Luckily, he had 8 years of military service under his belt, and it didn't break him. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here, and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. Company got bought out, and my new boss micromanaged me. I work for my local humane society as the facility manager. It was a great place to work, good-hearted people, dogs and cats to pet, and I ended up meeting my future wife there. As with any job, the people in charge always made selfish or bad choices. The director, unfortunately, cared more about his reputation and image than the animals. He'd spend more money than what we were making to make the place look nice. We were on the verge of going under. I loved that place. I put my blood, sweat, and tears, hell, even my own money to keep it together, even free overtime. It wasn't enough. We got bought out by a rival shelter. Our new director was the queen of all Karens. Her reputation preceded her. She had proudly boasted that in a year, she had received 500 out of 750 complaints from County Animal Services about her from the other employees because if people didn't hate you, you weren't doing your job right. I'm smarter than the average bear, and I know how to play the game. She caught on quickly when I started mentioning labor laws when I came to unethical calls she was making. She decided she'd find a way to get rid of me. She wanted to determine my importance there and felt I was overpaid and unnecessary. I could see her plot, and she decided to try and make my life hell, so I'd quit. She started micromanaging me, and only me, to the point where she wanted me to tell her everything I was doing before I did it. Luckily for me, I spent 8 years in the military and was used to it, LOL. I decided to play her game and follow it to the letter. I would constantly interrupt meetings, phone calls, and entire conversations all day, every day, letting her know exactly what I was doing, one task at a time. If she assigned me a task, I would play dumb and ask her to explain it to me, or I would tell her I didn't understand. Please word it differently. This lasted 2 weeks. Then she told me to do it via email as my frequent daily interruptions were unprofessional to her. So I proceeded to give a report via email every day. I thought I'd won and didn't have to be micromanaged anymore. She was vague on what she wanted, so I gave windows and estimates of chunks of times I was doing things. This went on for 2 weeks before she said I wasn't showing my worth and that it looked like I was wasting time all day. She demanded I tell her everything I do all day, every day. So I said okay, and began itemizing every microscopic detail. I mean every detail. Arrived at 7 o'clock, deactivated alarm at 7:01, turned on all lights until 7:05, unlocked doors and grounds till 7:10. This went on and on all day. I even included bathroom breaks, which made it obvious when I was urinating or the other. By itemizing and describing everything like she asked for, I was wasting 2 hours every day typing it all out, meaning I was working 6 hours but getting paid for 8. Eventually, after 3 weeks of this, the director of the entire organization called down and told me to stop, as she was required to be on my CC list. I was told to just go back to my Cliff Note version and that it was unnecessary for them to know about my bowel movements. I had won, I had proven my worth, played the game and won. Until COVID and the mandatory 2-week quarantine happened the next week, and they decided to furlough me. Then they used it as an excuse to fire me altogether in August. Now the place is falling apart, and they're doing unethical things left and right. And our second story. Note after a fight. This is not my story, but my mother's cousin and his wife, both long past now. It's about Ross and Deborah, a very old-fashioned couple. She takes care of the house and her husband, and he works outside the house, but of course his whole life is taken care of by his wife. And it happens way before the advent of cell phones. Ross and Deborah have been together pretty much all their lives. They adore each other, but they also bicker and prank each other all the time. For example, Ross was colorblind, the severe kind where he memorized the positions of traffic lights to know the different colors for when to stop or start. This was before you couldn't get a driver's license for this reason, mind you. Very often, Deborah would lay his clothes for the day, but would put crazy colors together, and no one in the family would tell him before the end of the day. One day, the bickering turned into a mega fight, the kind where you don't talk for the rest of the day. If you asked them what it was about, they'd tell you they don't even remember. They then rooted in their own, but that night, Ross left a note for Deborah on the kitchen table. Thinking it was an excuse note, Deborah eagerly read it. The note said, "Wake me up at 6:30 a.m. tomorrow. I have an important meeting." The next morning, when Ross woke up at 9 a.m., he panicked and was furious since it meant he missed his meeting. He furiously went to the kitchen to see Deborah, but instead, he saw her note on the table. Her note said, "Wake up, it's 6:30 a.m." Rumor has it they never went to bed without talking after that. And our last story. That car is too good for you. Sell it to my bratty teen. Now! Now, anyone that knows me or has met me before winter made me park it, road salt sucks, knows that I have a nearly fully restored 1981 Chevrolet Camaro Z28 in bright yellow. I bought it off some dude going through a divorce as a half-finished project. It wasn't in bad shape, but the interior was bombed out and had some sloppy work done that needed correcting. No big deal for me since I'm a mechanic by trade. It's my first real project and the first car I owned that wasn't a hand-me-down from my grandparents. And I am proud of it. Last November, I was stopped at a gas station on my way home from work for some gas, that 350's a thirsty bee, and an after-work snack when I see a dude, ED, in his mid-40s to early 50s, walk over to eye up my ride. This is nothing new to me. These late second-gen Camaros are rare to see in my region, and it's painted in an eye-catching color. I pay for my chips and soda, walk on over, and strike up a conversation. Turns out his first car was a '79 Berlinetta, and we talk shop for a while. That is until this prissy-looking teenage girl, EB, walks up beside him. He then looks at me, looks back at my car, then back to me and asks, "ED, it's definitely beautiful. How much do you want for it?" Me, what? ED, "How much do you want for your car? I can give you cash or check if you prefer." Proceeds to whip out his checkbook and a stuffed money clip full of Benjamins. Me, "Sorry, dude, it's not for sale." ED puts on his best buddy smile. "Come on, everything has a price. I can do $6,000 right here." Me holds back laughter since the engine alone costs $6K. "Yeah, sure. I'll sell you a car with over $14,000 of work and valued at $23,000 for $6,000. And while you're at it, I have a bridge to sell you too." At this point, EB chimes in. EB tugging on sleeve. "Daddy, you said you'd buy me a nice car. I want a cool car." ED strokes his daughter's hair and quietly says something to the effect of, "Don't worry, sweetie, we'll get you this one." ED turns back to me. "Can't you cut us a little slack for the lovely lady?" Me, "No, still not for sale." ED, now getting visibly irritated. "You're gonna refuse to sell me a car for my daughter? Really? You should just get rid of it. Look at how dirty you are. That car's too nice for someone like you. I bet you don't even know how to take care of it." EB, "Yeah, this car's too cool for you." Now I'm getting angry. Like I mentioned before, I'm a mechanic. I'm coming home from work, still in my work clothes, with an ASE patch on my shoulder, with a bit of grime on my arms and face from a long day of fixing other people's crap boxes. There should be no mistaking that I know how to take care of my ride, or so I thought. Me, after composing myself quickly, "Sir, I've done all the work to this car. I put the engine and transmission in it, I rebuilt the suspension, I detailed the paint, and I restored the interior all on my own. I think I know how to take care of the vehicle I basically rebuilt from the ground up." ED, "No, you don't. That work looks too good for you to have done it." Me, yeah, I did." ED, "Whatever, just sell it. You can find another project." Me, let me think. "No. Now take your daughter and get lost. I'm not budging." At this point, EB is whining to Daddy that he said he would sell it, and I thought I maybe saw a tear in her eye. And then ED turned red in the face and started tearing into me about how I was selfish, about how his little girl deserved the car more than I ever did, and then jabs that I probably made the whole thing up about it being a project and that I probably stole it. Me, glaring at him, "Now I will definitely not sell it to you. After all, your brat will probably wreck it in a couple of weeks anyway. I'm tired and I'm going home." At this point, I'm opening up the door and getting in while they're both screaming every insult in the book at me while I just ignore it. I wasn't lying when I said I was tired, and now I just wanted to go home and have a beer. Now, I forgot to mention that this gas station happens to be situated at a county border. next to an exit ramp for a very busy interstate. It's a local hangout for the state police and sheriff's deputies from both counties. And guess who just rolled in? A sheriff's deputy from the county I work in. The same deputy who entrusts me with their patrol car's maintenance, who I've become quick friends with, and who's friends with everyone at work, and got glimpses into the progress on my Camaro. We'll call him Sheriff Friend, or SF. He notices the two screaming at me and walks over to ask what the problem was. Edie looks at me and gets a little smirk on his face. "Officer, I'd like to report that this kid's car is stolen, and I'd like to press charges for calling my daughter a brat." SF looks at me, then at the car, and bursts out laughing. "Sir, this car definitely belongs to him. I've seen him working on it before at the shop he works at." Turns to me. "OP, are these folks giving you a hard time?" Me. "Yeah, they're flipping out because I wouldn't sell it to them." SF. "Really?" Me. "Yup." I proceeded to fill him in on everything that had happened. SF turns back around to face ED. "Sir, you gave him an offer and he refused. You then proceeded to verbally abuse him worse than the jab he made at your daughter. I believe you should just leave." ED looks shocked and his mouth imitates a goldfish for a few seconds before he hangs his head and mutters an "okay" and walks off with EB, now wailing that she didn't get my car, in tow. I thank him and we say our goodbyes, and just as a final jab I cue up "You Can't Always Get What You Want" by the Rolling Stones as I start to pull out. Edie immediately recognized the song I was playing and flipped me off. Oh, and I had a nice relaxing drive home after that and a quiet evening watching TV. "Sell me your car." "Sorry, it's not for sale." "Sell me your car, you don't even deserve it." "Oh, well, now that you've been rude to me, it's yours." How do these people even think things work? Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.